Oh, that's loud. Hi, my name is Henderson. I'm a senior at Drexel, and today I'll be giving my testimony. So a little bit of background information on myself. I'm originally from Singapore, but I was raised in Philadelphia. My parents were not Christian, but they sent me to Catholic schools all my life. Now, growing up, my parents worked a lot, which means I only got to see them on very short basis and when they were tired. And being traditional Asian parents, they didn't give me much affirmation unless I did very well or by stirring up trouble. And most of my life, I seek affirmation from friends and family by either being a punk or by doing well in school. And school was where I was first exposed to God. I knew him as this powerful being that was like a genie. I thought that if I was good and prayed, I would get what I want. And generally, I saw him as a distant God who just watched what I did. My image of God stayed like this for a while until senior year of high school. We had a retreat for the seniors called Kairos. It's pretty similar to the retreats that GCC holds. It was a few days away at a retreat center. We had devotionals, seminars, and free time to spend with friends. However, one of the nights, the teacher called us up to a room. They had letters for us. Each and every single one were from our different parents. We had no idea about this, and so when the teacher began to read them, each person began to cry. And now the high school I went to was all guys, so it was a bit interesting. And so when it came to my letter, I thought that I wouldn't cry simply because I normally wasn't that emotional. But through most of the letter, I didn't cry until the last 3 words, which were, "I love you." Again, my parents normally didn't say things like this, so essentially, the feels came. This retreat was the first time I experienced a taste of God's love. However, the emotional high didn't last very long. Once I came back, everything went back to normal with classes and college apps. And so a few months later, a friend who had been going to GCC for a year invited me out to their Easter service. He knew I was going to Drexel and that I had a Catholic background. This was my first Christian service ever, and it was very different from a Catholic Mass. First thing I noticed was the music. Catholic Masses generally had psalms and hymns, so hearing modern Christian music was very different, but I liked it a lot. Next was a sermon. A Catholic Mass equivalent to a sermon is a homily, which is normally about 15 minutes long. So I thought, oh, music and now 15-minute sermon, awesome. But this was not the case as Pastor Young walked up. 15 minutes passed, another 15 minutes passed, and I realized he wasn't going to be done anytime soon. Nevertheless, I enjoyed the sermon and just my whole experience at GCC. Everyone was incredibly friendly and had this passion for God that I'd never seen before. So I decided that I was going to go to check out GCC during my freshman year at Drexel. So during my freshman year, I began going to family group and Friday Night Live. I was trying to understand what it meant to have this personal relationship with God, and that everyone else seemed to have. However, I spent more time hanging out with people than actually reading the Bible or praying. And so during my sophomore year, I began working by waiting tables at a restaurant. So I didn't have as much time to hang out with friends and family, and even began to pray and read the Bible more. It wasn't consistent, but it was a lot more than I had originally done before. So I still didn't know what it meant to have this personal relationship with God. Then retreat in my junior year hit. The speaker for the retreat was Dan Bauman. He talked a lot about what it meant to have an intimate relationship with God, and that God was a father who loves and delights in spending time with each and every single one of us. It just blew my mind how God, so high and mighty, would love me for simply who I was. That I didn't have to do anything to earn it, and how that love was always constant. Made me realize that getting good grades or even doing my best to please others would always leave me dissatisfied and empty. Now, I still get self-conscious. There's definitely times when I still care a lot about what people think about me. But when I'm reminded of his grace and that I'm his beloved, all of that just seems to fade away. And so I'm going to leave you guys with 2 verses, Ephesians 2, 4-5. But God, being rich in his mercy, because of the great love in which he loved us, even when we were dead in our trespasses, made us alive with Christ. By grace you have been saved. And Jeremiah 29:13, you will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. Thank you.